Good morning and welcome to Share Talk. I am Bonnie Hughes. Our guest today is Greatland Gold. Their stock is currently up at 12.5% this morning. They have 4 projects in Western Australia, 2 in Tasmania, and the news flow during this past week has been some very good assay results. Here to tell us all about the company is Gervaise Heddle, CEO of Greatland Gold. Hello, Gervaise. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you.
Congratulations on the news flow you've had this week. It seems to have been very positive for the stock and the company.
Yes, well, look, it's terrific news from a fundamental perspective. You know, we had a very significant development at Havieron where we've discovered a high-grade core of gold mineralisation there. We've also had a very encouraging development at Black Hills where we've discovered gold nuggets and visible gold in the bedrock. And then we've also kicked off drilling at Ernest Giles, which is another key project for us. So, yeah, it's been great, and it's obviously always good to see that reflected in the stock price as well.
And so I understand that the field work that you were doing at Black Hills, you've just begun that, and so that is just in your initial, you got up in the morning, walked around, and there it was?
Yes, well, not me personally, but the Greatland's technical team, they went out there. So we had spent a few months compiling data regarding that project. We only bought that project in November of last year, and so there was a lot of work to do compiling historical data and analysing that. And then we decided, okay, let's go out on the first time we're basically on the ground with our team, and we said we'd do some basic surface sampling, you know, go and basically collect rock chips. And what we hoped is we'd get some rock chips and we'd send them to the lab and they'd come back and say, okay, well, there's 10 grams per tonne gold or 20 grams per tonne gold in those rock chips, and confirm, in essence, the historical data. Instead, what's happened is just within a few days, they've collected visible gold nuggets and they've found visible gold within the bedrock itself, and so that's a very encouraging start. It suggests that there is a high-grade mineralised gold system there. It's pretty obvious when you can see it there at surface. You know, the challenge now is that we need to figure out what are the next steps to really demonstrate, to follow that mineralisation down to depth and to, obviously ultimately to try and build a resource at that project.
And how did these projects come to be in your holdings right now?
Yeah, so, well, it's interesting. You know, we have a stated strategy of, trying to identify, areas which are underexplored and buy them on the cheap and then prove them up, and obviously at some point try to monetise them for a lot of money and, earn returns for shareholders. And both Black Hills and Havieron are projects that fall within that category. They're both projects that we've bought within the last couple of years. So Black Hills in particular, we only bought that project in November of last year. We paid about 250,000 Australian dollars for that project, for 100% of that project. And already I think you could say that project is worth far more than that, given the success we've already had with identifying visible gold at surface. But also because of the work we've done, it's often very boring work. It's time-consuming work, going through all the data and compiling that. But because we've done, I think, a good job at that, I think it makes it a much more saleable asset to other mining companies sort of further down the track.
And because you have 6 projects, are you strategizing or prioritising which projects you're focusing on at this time?
Yeah, we always need to do that. So, every month we're sort of stepping back and saying, okay, well, what is the next thing? What do we need to do next? And, for us, it's maximising our risk-adjusted return on capital. So obviously every dollar you spend, you want to get a return on it, but we also have to factor in the risk of whatever we're trying to do. So some things have small risk, some things have big risk. And, sometimes, in the case of Havieron, you roll the dice and you get a fantastic outcome which justifies it, and sometimes you don't. We drilled Bromus a couple of years ago and didn't get the results we wanted. But, it's all about trying to say, well, what's the sensible thing to do with the next, amount of capital, and how do we best maximise returns for our shareholders.
And what's the next steps on Havieron after these drill results?
Well, we haven't made any announcement to the market in that regard. I think what we need to do is we need to get all the results in first, and then we need to sit down with the technical team and just decide, okay, what are the next obvious steps? And look, we'll be making further announcements about that once we've had the chance to review all the results.
So the market can expect some more assay results from that project going forward? That's
right. So we drilled 4 holes, each approximately 600 metres deep. We've only received results for 1 hole, so we expect the results for the other few holes to be coming in the coming weeks.
And let's hope they're as excellent as the ones that you've put out this week.
Sure, that would be good. That would be good.
And on your projects in Tasmania, are you doing anything with those projects at the moment?
Yes, so we announced earlier this year that we were doing a 3D IP survey at Fire Tower. So Fire Tower is a project where we have high-grade gold at surface. Historically, it's been a little bit difficult to track that mineralisation. And then the team came up with an idea, was well, let's use IP, in particular this 3D IP technology, to basically create a 3D visual image of the mineralised system. And so that 3D IP has been completed. We're awaiting the results of that, and hopefully that will give us a really good image of the mineralisation. That what we need to do is to drill that and to sort of hopefully demonstrate that indeed that model is correct and the gold does follow that. But that's another, you know, exciting asset where we have potentially 4 kilometres of strike. We have a 1 million ounce exploration target on that asset. So yeah, it's a busy time. It's going to be even busier going forwards.
And is there any historical drill holes on that project, or?
Yes, there are. Yes, so we've demonstrated high grade gold on that project. Yes.
And I understand you got a permit for exploring for nickel sulfide?
That's right, yes. So at Ernest Giles, we just kicked off a drilling program. We've added 1 extra hole to test the nickel sulfide target. So if I just back up there and give you the background, we have you know, 3 areas that we're testing as part of this program for gold. So the Meadows area, where Newmont conducted their deep sensing geochemistry and returned some really interesting large gold anomalies there. We're also going to be testing at Wishbone and at Empress. And then we thought, well, if we're going to be out there, we have an interesting nickel sulfide target there, which has a, you know, we just feel it's quite prospective for various reasons, and we thought, well, look, we'll put 1 hole into that, a little bit deeper than the company went last time, and see if we can just basically test what's down there once and for all.
And so your budget, you have enough to cover your work program for the next year?
Yes, yes. So we had £4.5 million in cash at the end of December. As I've said to the market on a number of occasions, we have more than enough cash to cover us until at least the middle of next year. So we're in a very good position. We don't need to raise money at this point, but you know, and at the same time, we're doing some really, you know, exciting exploration work, and you know, hopefully we'll have more results coming from all sorts of projects over the next few months. And
so, are you still looking at other projects at the moment, or are you just going to focus on what you have?
Yes, we are. So obviously, for the next couple of weeks, you know, we've got a lot to think about, just with the success at Havieron, and also what are we going to do to follow up at Black Hills. But we are always looking for opportunities to acquire ideally 100% of interesting projects in Australia at the right price. So we've always got a pipeline of things that we are looking at, but that's probably slightly lower priority at the moment just because of everything that's going on.
And Australia would be your focus? You wouldn't sort of go outside of Australia?
Probably not. Look, for an exceptional opportunity we would, but you know, we take the view that we understand Australia. Our team, they're virtually all Australian based. We understand the way the system operates there. We have very good relationships there with the prospectors, the drillers, the geophysicists, you know, everybody that you need to know. And my concern is that if we step outside of Australia, we might make some, you know, basic mistakes because we don't understand the nuances of other jurisdictions. We're in Australia, and I think we really do understand the nuances of how things operate and the way to do things there.
As they say, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Yes, yes. Well, look, it's not a devil because Australia is a great place to be an exploration company.
Yes.
You know, there is a very supportive regime there for exploration. Obviously, in Western Australia in particular, there's tremendous amounts of mining activity. So, yeah, if you make a good discovery in Western Australia, it's a great place to operate. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie.
And we look forward to further assay results on your project, and hopefully they're as good as the ones that came out this week.
Thank you.
And good luck with everything. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Share Talk. Have a profitable day.